From the very first moment the auditorium doors slid open, there was a feeling in the air that no one could quite describe, a feeling that something unforgettable was about to unfold in front of hundreds of people who came expecting a show but would leave with something far greater. It began with a single, unexpected silenceous silence that spread across the room as a young boy named Caleb reached the edge of the stage, his wheelchair glinting beneath the soft lights, as though it carried not just him but the weight of 1,000 unspoken dreams. At his side walked his older sister Laura, guiding him forward with a gentle touch on his shoulder and a steadying breath that spoke of years spent believing in him even when the world didn't. Caleb was only 15, born with a muscular condition that made standing impossible, but what he lacked in strength he carried in heart. Lara, a dancer with limited vision, had always struggled to see the world clearly, often relying on hints of light and shape to guide her. Together, they made an unlikely duo in a competition known for polished choreography and flawless execution. But they weren't here to impress judges or to chase fame. They were here to fulfill a promise made long ago on a day when the world seemed too heavy and too unfair. That promise began years earlier, when Caleb was only 8. He had been sitting on the edge of his hospital bed after yet another appointment. Laura, only 13 at the time, had taken his hand and told him he didn't need legs to fly, that dreams weren't meant to stay inside the body, they lived in the heart. She told him that one day they would perform together. Not because they had to prove anything, but because they deserved to feel what it meant to share something beautiful with the world. Years passed, and life didn't grow easier for either of them. Caleb's condition worsened, his hands weakening, his breath tightening, but his spirit didn't dim. Laura's eyesight faded gradually, and by the time she reached 18, she could barely make out the outlines of people standing just a few feet away. But she practiced every day, memorizing steps, shaping movements by touch instead of sight, learning to dance not with her eyes but with her intuition. Caleb learned to control his wheelchair with extraordinary precision, spinning, tilting, and maneuvering with a grace that surprised even seasoned coaches. Together, they built a routine that blended his movements with hers, creating a rhythm that felt more like a shared heartbeat than a dance. The night of the audition arrived with a quiet hush. The stage looked impossibly large, the judges impossibly serious, the audience impossibly expectant. But Caleb and Laura didn't flinch. Lara squeezed his hand once, a silent reminder that they were there for each other. Caleb nodded, inhaling deeply as the introductory note of their song filled the space around them. It was a song of hope, written with soft piano keys and gentle strings, the kind of melody that made people instinctively pause and listen. The first movement was slow, deliberate. Caleb lifted his arm, fingers trembling slightly, tracing a path through the air. Lara followed that line with a sweeping motion, turning the direction of his hand into the beginning of their shared story. People leaned forward, drawn in by the unexpected beauty of it. No flashy moves, no dramatic jumps, just as siblings communicating through motion. Their disabilities, not hindrances, but part of the fabric of the performance itself. The tempo shifted, and the audience gasped softly as Caleb's wheelchair spun gracefully, pivoting in a tight circle that matched Lara's slower gliding steps. She bent toward him, hands brushing over his shoulders to feel the rhythm he was creating, and together they moved in a harmony that seemed impossible to choreograph. What the crowd didn't know was that in the weeks leading to the audition, Caleb had nearly given up. His muscles had weakened more than he expected, making certain movements difficult, sometimes even painful. One night, after an especially exhausting rehearsal, he had told Lara that maybe this dream wasn't meant for them after all. She had sat beside him, her hand searching for his face until she felt the warmth of his cheek. She reminded him of the promise they made in the hospital, of the countless nights he had watched her practice despite seeing almost nothing, of the courage he showed every day simply by waking up and choosing hope over surrender. She told him that dreams weren't measured by difficulty. They were measured by the strength it took to keep chasing them. Her words brought him back to the studio the next day, and every day afterward, until the routine felt like a living part of both of them. By Constache, the music shifted once more, softening at the exact moment Lara lost her footing. The crowd gasped again, but Caleb was quicker than anyone expected. He reached out, steadying her with his fragile but determined fingers, pulling her back into the rhythm before anyone could process what had happened. It was a small moment, but a powerful one, because it showed that the performance wasn't just choreography. It was trust. It was resilience. It was two people refusing to let each other fall, no matter what the world threw at them. The emotional climax came when Lara knelt beside Caleb and placed her hand gently over his heart, a movement they had practiced hundreds of times. It symbolized the place where their dreams were born, the place where their limitations ended and their possibilities began. Caleb lifted her hand slowly, guiding it upward, and she rose with it, performing a final sweeping turn that left the entire audience breathless. As she spun, Caleb tilted his wheelchair back slightly, creating an image so striking, so symbolic, that several people wiped their eyes without even realizing it. When the last note rang out, there was silence once again. But this silence wasn't hesitant or unsure. It was secret. It was the kind of silence that exists only when people witness something that shifts their understanding of humanity. And then the applause came, rising like a wave, crashing forward with cheers and tears and gratitude. The judges stood, the audience stood, and for a moment, Caleb and Lara simply held on to each other, overwhelmed by the realization that their story had touched hundreds of hearts in ways they never imagined. What made that moment even more profound was what happened after the applause died down. A young girl from the front row, wearing tiny hearing aids, stepped forward, signing clumsily with her hands. Her mother translated through tears. She wanted to learn to dance like Lara, even if she couldn't hear the music the same way others did. Another boy approached in crutches, saying he wanted to learn wheelchair choreography from Caleb. Strangers hugged each other. People wiped their eyes. The room felt warm, united, lifted. In that auditorium, under those glowing lights, something shifted in everyone. People realized that disabilities don't define limitations sometimes. They reveal strengths the world desperately needs to see. They realized that courage doesn't always look like perfection. Sometimes it looks like shaking hands, struggling breath, blurred vision, an unwavering determination. They realized that compassion isn't just kindness, it's recognizing the extraordinary spirit inside ordinary people. Caleb and Lara didn't win the competition that night, at least not the trophy on stage. But they won something far greater. They won hearts. They sparked hope. They inspired people who had forgotten what it meant to dream. And they showed every person watching that courage comes in many forms, that love can build bridges stronger than any barrier, and that a shared dream can rise above anything that tries to break it. And when they finally left the stage, rolling and walking side by side, the world felt just a little brighter, a little kinder, and a little more connected than it had been before. Their disabilities didn't stop them. Their disabilities made them shine even brighter than they ever thought possible.